Yo, 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 what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm going to be showcasing you guys some Monarch content. It's basically just replays like I've been doing. I know a lot of people have said my channel does way too many profiles and not enough of other stuff. So I've really been on my grind. This stuff takes a lot of time. Like, it takes so many tries because sometimes it loses connection. So if you guys see this list right here, of all these duels, these are all within a short time span. These aren't really that far apart from each other. Like, I've been really grinding for replays so you guys can see the decks. Like, you guys always get to see my deck profiles on my channel, but you guys very seldom get to see how they perform. I know it's not in real life because that's not really that easy for me, but I was able to get some replays basically with the new Monarch build that I have. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. I'm gonna start off with the game that I just finished up, which was against Madolche. He ended up smacking me in the end, but I really like how the game played out because I played my cards to the best of my potential for almost the entirety of the duel. There was just like a few interactions where I felt I got the best of myself, where I played myself just by doing too much. But ultimately the game was really fun and it helped me a lot to learn. And this deck really is good. It's not like great, you know, it's not gonna be tier 1 material, but I will say the lock that it can put up can stun tier 1 decks if they don't have the outs. I feel like this deck struggles with back row removal because its outs typically come from the back row. So if you want to counter that, you can play cards like Vanity's Fiend and also Solemn Judgment, because people will typically use Evenlies and Cosmic Cyclones against you and Lightning Storms to kill your domain and your Monarchs erupt. So when you have Vanity's Fiend, you know, in Judgment, you play around evenly by keeping the Vanity's Fiend, and you play around the Cyclones and, you know, the other back removals, because Vanity's Fiend is a lock that doesn't get stopped by those. So there's ways that you can play around the cards that kind of, you know, shut your deck down, or basically are hard counters, but there's not enough of a balance for the deck's consistency. So I ended up going with the 60 card list, just like I did on my channel. I played the 60 card Monarchs. This list is playing more expensive cards that I don't necessarily have all of them in real life, so luckily I could do this online. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to game 1 of Monarch versus Madolche. So I'm gonna pause right here. This is opening hand. This deck, the more I play against it, the more it makes me want to play this deck. Like, this deck is just so good, you guys. Every time I play against Madolche, they scare the mess out of me. Like, it makes my heart race, and I'm just really nervous. Because, like, this deck, even when you hand trap it, it's normally able to play through them, and this deck plays through Nibiru. Like, it plays through it. It doesn't even have to play around it all the time. And then sometimes you Nibiru this deck, and they already have so many spells that they plussed off of summoning Messengelados. That's like, dang. If you don't kill them in the next turn, they could easily just flip a Promenade on you, triggering Salon, Ticket, and all kinds of just snowballing effects on your turn, and then get themselves something from grave to hand, which could be Mageline or Angeli or, you know, Pet or Who Cake, and it's just game over the next turn. Like, this deck is so insane. So this was really, really difficult for me to even get this far in this duel. I will say that because I am playing Monarchs. You know, respect to the OG deck. You see his opening hand, it doesn't really matter that he only has one Madolche card. This is all he needs, you guys. That's how this deck works. It essentially has 9 full 1-card combos, and then Who Cake makes 12. All you need is basically a card in grave, a monster in grave. So Ash Blossom is perfect food for Who Cake. So he essentially is playing 12 1-card combos, which is very dangerous. So my hand is kind of gassed, but not really. I have 3 ways to RNG into what I need, but I have none of the cards I need except the Tribute Fodder. The next thing that I need is a Monarch and then Domain. So I've got some work to do for my hand, so I'm going to see how it plays out. He does hold his Ash, which I feel like was kind of smart, but at the same time, if you see my hand, I was going to have to RNG into the rest of the stuff that Desires didn't give me to anyways. But I'm going to press play. So I start off with Desires. He debates on the Ash because it did kind of show that he's waiting. So I see that he held his Ash, which it did kind of come through the clutch a little bit. But once I kind of read it, I didn't really read it like that, but after he didn't use it, the plays I made next were able to play around Ash. So you see my banished zone. I banished Aether, which is very unfortunate. One of my Thessalos, you guys know I love ripping cards out of people's hands. This is what's ended up costing me this game, that I banished Kuraz, and I really want to put 2 back into my list because I'm playing 1 right now. Because by this being banished off Desires, the game was not able to be shifted back into my favor off of an Aether plate that was going to change the whole entire game state. So I'm really sad about that, and I'm definitely going to make some changes. You see I banished an idea, a domain, and my other Thessalos. So Thessalos is like, homie, you don't need me for this duel. So I'm press OK. You guys see that I drew into Erebus and Magician's Souls. So my hand just got transformed into gas after the Desire. It was already pretty RNG in the beginning, but now it's just gas. So as you guys see, a new addition to my Monarch deck is I'm playing Delg. I don't have this card in real life, so you know it's so good. Thank God that I have access to, you know, internet and a laptop to do things like this. He provides for me. Delg is a spellcaster, so yeah, it's a target for Magician's Souls, but something else that I've been doing with interactions with this card, which makes it so good that I really wish I should have been doing more in the future, was I've used this card basically via Aether to disrupt graveyard plays on my opponent's turn. So it works when it's normal or special. So I have this and Kuros as my targets for disruption, and then when you're just building resources trying to set up for bigger pushes, you normally just go Aether for Aether, so you have a follow-up Aether, and that's how you're going to do it playing Monarchs. That's the smart way to do it. This deck is still good, it's just very, very prone to 1 or 2 interruptions because its setup requires 3 cards, so when you lose one of those cards out of rotation, if you don't have a backup replacement that can be used the same turn, your turn's just over. So I sent Delg. I already explained how strong this card in this deck. He's basically a double DD Crow. If you see, he does give your opponent a chance to mill, which can hurt sometimes against decks like Eldritch and Dinos, but it's really a risk I'm willing to take when I'm getting guaranteed banishes off of it. So I summon Magician's Soul. I send the Prime Monarch to draw, so my hand size goes from 5 to 6, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry, my hand size actually stays because the Magician's Soul didn't pay for itself. And then as you see here, I have to slow a bit down because the play I made was really safe next. What I did, I had the choice to normal summon Eidos or special Mithra. So the reason why I chose Mithra, even though I don't have another monster to tribute summon, which actually comes up, and it wasn't the reason initially, but then I noticed when I did it because I was weighing my options, I'm like, no, this is the smarter play. By me making this play, I was able to play around both Infinite and Permanence and the Ash Blossom in his hand by revealing Mithra to summon her and then tribute summoning her, which allows me to go Chainlink 1 Erebus and Chainlink 2 Mithra. Now he has to have Effect Veiler because he can't Imperm due to him having this token. He can't Ash Blossom because Erebus is Chainlink 1. So him holding his Ash kind of didn't get him as far as he thought it would get him, but I'm going to press play anyways. Now I'm resolving Erebus, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 Mithra. I'm going to send though basically, and it sucks that I didn't hit the predecessor. It would have been so clutch if I hit the predecessor. But I send Pantheism, and I send Stormforth, and here's where he's like, I'm gonna, there we go, that's what happened. So I sent those, and I banished Pantheism, I go for Tenacity, and that's where he's like, I'm gonna Ash Blossom you. So this is another instance where Monarch shouldn't have to play around Nibiru because most Monarch builds don't special summon a lot, but mine just so happened to be cutting up a little bit too much, so I played into Nibiru territory, which it didn't really change like my lock because I didn't have Domain and I didn't have Monarch's Erupt. So basically all he did was trade out my Monarch for basically a bigger body on my field. So it didn't really hurt too much, but it's kind of just sad that, everything that I did basically did get stopped. Even though I played, around Impermanence and Ash, the next lines of plays did get shut down and choked by Ash Blossom and Nibiru. So as you can see, he Nibirus me in response to Dogman, which I was trying to R&D more because at that point, once he asked my Tenacity, I was like, these Dogmans and these Eidoses have to go. I need to draw my next card. My next card was Aether. So if I got to resolve that Dogman, you guys, and draw that Aether, I'm telling you right now, that would have changed the game state. So it sucks that Dogman just did not like me in this instance, but he did chain Nibiru to my Dogman, which was kind of weird because when Nibiru resolves backwards, Dogman could still potentially hit the field. I feel like he should have waited till the Dogman resolved in Nibiru, but he did it how he wanted to do it, so I'm going to press play. He Nibirus my field. I get a token that was bigger than Erebus to begin with. Now, here's one thing. Because I resolved Erebus and took a card from his hand, and he double hand trapped me, he's only playing with 2 cards in his hand. But keep in mind, you guys, this is Madolche's, and he has one of his 1-card combos in his hand, and he has a Call by the Grave if I had an Ash. So his hand is actually comparatively perfect. The only thing that would really shut this down is an Infinite Impermanence or a Nibiru, which I didn't have in my hand, so he was going to be able to play Solitaire. So as you see, this is going to continue to play out. I pass. I can't do anything else. All I have is Prime in my graveyard just to basically help me to keep me alive. Now, he does activate Salon and he normals Pet. He's unable to use her because he does have Ash in his grave. So I'm like, yes, I'm safe for a turn. You know, I have Prime to chop block. And as you guys can see, my top deck was going to be Aether. I really wish that Dogman would have drawn that because it would have changed so much. Because I basically could have been able to potentially Aether on his turn by using Prime to summon itself and then Aether, you know, to tribute and summon. That's if I was able to do that. Because let me check my grave and see if that was even possible. Tenacity. Nope. Actually, yeah, no, I wasn't going to be able to do both, so it wouldn't have mattered. So then, as you can see here, I do top deck the Aether. I normal Eidos use his effect to gain an additional tribute. I'm thinking this is Promenade, so I'm really scared, but it's the call by. So what ends up happening, this is how it plays out. I tribute both for Aether. I chainlink one Aether, resolve Aether to summon Aether. You guys, when you're playing Monarchs and you have little to no resources, I strongly advise you to use Aether to either summon a Kuraz if you have dead cards on your field to pop to draw, or summon another Aether to get it into your hand so that you can keep yourself in the game. This is going to allow you to constantly maintain your field presence and also set up potential disruptions on your opponent's turn. This is just super strong, the play that I'm making right here, because I don't really have anything else in my hand. So I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, the only basket that I can put them in. So I'm going to press play. I kill the pet, and now this is where it gets troublesome because now he's able to set ticket off of Salon. So it's just slowly starting to tip back into his favor because I really don't have anything to shut him down. I do attempt Idols to target my Mithra, and then he call buys it. So I'm glad that the call buy actually hit that and not, you know, another card that was more impactful later on. So I summon the Prime just to get it out, so if it dies on my turn, I could just reborn it again. So he upstarts, and then look where his upstart gets him. He gets so lucky. He top decks Angeli, and this is where the game, this is the interaction that I told you guys about in the beginning of this duel. This is where the game completely shifts in his favor. He already was slowly getting there because I really didn't have anything to hold up my front on my end. But once he got to this Angeli, the only play that I could think of in my mind was I was like, okay, I have Aether in my hand. So this is what was playing out in my head. I'm about to use this Aether to tribute my Aether to summon Kuraz, and I'm going to pop Angeli and the Salon. So by popping those two, this is face down. So he didn't activate it, so he can activate this, but as you can see, it needs something to actually trigger it. Like the ticket's activation won't be able to do anything for him, so he would just be sitting on the Biru and a dead ticket. But I will say the Kuraz gives him 2 draws. That's why I wanted to use Kuraz to pop both Angeli and Salon, because he already normaled Angeli. So by doing that, I put him in a situation where even if he draws into other good Madolche cards, he can't normal them that turn, so he's forced to pass me Nibiru, and I basically get to bounce my Kuraz back to hand, and I now have Aether, I have Prime, and I have Kuraz, which is really strong. Plus, you know, whatever I'm drawing for next turn. So I could potentially try to shift the game back into my favor. So that was the only chance that I had. But as you guys can see, I lost that chance because I play a card, Pot of Desires. It really banished one of the most vital one-ups that it really, you don't, these are hindsight plays. You don't necessarily think, oh, you know, one day Kuraz is just going to be like the only thing that I can only play that I can make to save myself. But after taking this into consideration, I want to bump the card back up to 2. So I have 2 Kuraz and 2 Delgs so that my Aether has good food in my main deck. But I'm going to press play. As you guys can see, I went for the play not realizing that my Kuraz was gone. So I had no choice but to summon Erebus and hope for the best. I could have summoned Delg, but it wouldn't help me. And even though I could have also summoned out the Mega Caius, it wouldn't have done as much as Erebus could have done, because this card is just superior for spot removal. But as you guys can see, this is it. Like, I don't even have to really let this play out necessarily, because this is game. Anybody that plays Madolches or has played against them knows the second that a Hoot Cake or an Angeli or a Madolche Mageline or a predecessor hits the field and you don't have a response, it's game. Because basically anything that's in their way, Tiramisu is going to clear anyways. So it doesn't matter that I have 3 bodies on field. Tiramisu would clear them and I'm going to lose. And as you can see, I'm top decking into a Desires that really wasn't going to do me much justice, because he probably was going to get Madolche Promenade in the middle of his combos to negate my top deck. So that was game 1. I really felt like that cross could have changed it, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't happen. So next one, game 2, as you guys can see, I opened triple hand trap, and I opened a Lord Darkness and Idol. So it's solid for slowing him down, but I will say my engine is not online yet. So these 3 hand traps will do nothing against this deck until I get my engine on. All they'll do is stall something that could be inevitable if I don't get into my engine. So hand traps are not really good without a strong follow-up. I'll say that about any hand traps in any deck. Unless they literally synergize with your deck, like if you're playing Gamma in a side frame deck, hand traps will not be able to basically, I guess you could say, benefit your game state. They can only simplify it. Hey, stop that now. So I'm gonna press play. So I go Allure, I end up drawing into Desires and the Caius. So now it's looking good, but then I Desires into a Domain and an Infern. So I have quadruple hand trap now, which is crazy. My Banish Zone, I did side in Vanity's Fiend, because again, you know, your opponent's gonna side in Evenlies. Most people don't side Dark Rulers against Monarchs. Once they see how I play, they see I'm playing normal Monarchs. So they're basically gonna side back row removal for my Erupt and my Domain. That's where I put in the Vanities to counter the Evenly and the back row removal. So it's kind of like, you know, my own way of doing it. But look at my Banish Zone, you guys. I lost the 1-up Erupt, and I also lost 2 Vanities Fiend, and pretty much everything else is like okay. I did lose 2 idols, but I'm like, as long as I got an idols, you know, I'm good. So instead of setting the Imperm, because the Imperm, it could just be baited by Cosmic Cyclone before I get a chance to use it, even though it gets its secondary negation, I choose to keep all my cards in hand, which also gives off the illusion that I bricked. And because I'm playing Monarchs, it's very believable that people would think I bricked. So he upstarts me, which he could still kill me under that, so it doesn't matter. He goes Pet. So this is where I'm in a very like tough pickle, because you guys, honestly, this deck is really, it's hard to time when you want to hand trap, because my biggest fear was if I Imperm or Ash one too many times, I might not be able to Nibiru him, which means I'm still dealing with Madolche cards when I don't have any spot removal or my engine online. So the only play that I could think of is I have to let him play into Nibiru territory so I can get Nibiru up so that I can actually tribute summon for Caius using Domain tributing my Nibiru. So these 3 cards turn into a combo for me, a play that I need to make. So I'm very careful to not Nibiru or Ash preemptively, because I need him to hit his 5th summon. If I do this too much and he's not able to go any further, now he's still going to keep his bodies on field, and I don't have a way to get rid of him, and my Nibiru is dead. So you guys have to understand my logic, and this was the smartest play that I can make with the hand that I had. So he goes Glass Souffle. This card's insane. It can actually play around Nibiru, which is just ridiculous. He's doing a standard combo. So here, you guys are going to see it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to hand trap this. The reason why I wanted to hand trap the Who Cake, because in my mind, I'm like, what other card is he going to summon besides Messengelato? Now, if I let Messengelato hit the field, I'm going to have to impermanent. Reason being, because if he searches a Salon, a Chateau, or a Ticket, Nibiru might just be nullified, and it might not matter because he'll have his follow-up in hand, and I'll basically be giving him a token that I can't really get over. So I'm really cautious to not do that, because Messengelato basically allows you to keep pluses under Nibiru. So this deck is so nerve-wracking to play against. It's so difficult to learn how to strategically disassemble these boards and know when and where to use your hand traps. The smartest play if you don't have a Nibiru is to basically use Imperm on the normal summon of a card like Mageline or Who Cake or Ash Blossom on Angeli if they normaled it, and pray that they don't have Salam plus a follow-up, and that's if they don't. But what I have to do is what I told you guys, so I'm pressing play. So here's where I'm like, okay, I'm going to Imperm this Who Cake, and it's a good thing that I did because he does have Called by the Grave. So if I went Ash on the Who Cake, it would have basically made me go neg, which, you know, I could still chain Imperm, but I would have just negged. So I kind of just, it was really nice to use one of the Imperms on this, but as you can see, he keeps going because he has a normal summon. So he normals Mageline, and now he has a follow-up play. This is a 1-card OTK. This is a huge problem with this deck. I almost should have just used Imperm on this too, but I'm wasting too many cards from my hand when I'm trying to get him into a Nibiru territory. So I'm like, I'm going to hold my Imperm and my Ash so I can still have 2 forms of interaction, just in case this being my only line of play doesn't work out for me. Because I know at least Imperm and Ash can stop his follow-up. Nibiru is already going to end his field. So I'm going to press play. and I Nibiru his butt. And the Nibiru is pretty fat, but glory be to God, because I actually got Caius in my hand. So this is going to be the spot removal I need to take care of this token and to take care of his back rolls. But as you see, his back rolls are actually really impactful. The call by to an extent, but the Cosmic Cyclone is crazy. So we're going to see how this plays out. I did exactly what I told you guys I was going to do. I held the Nibiru so I can use it to basically tribute summon. I top deck Idols, you know, I wasn't expecting that. So when I top deck Idols, my idea now was to just tribute the Idols because now Caius can banish 2 cards because he's tributing a Dart. So what I went ahead and did was I targeted the Nibiru token and the Called By. Even if I didn't target the Called By and instead targeted the Cyclone, he would have chained it and banished the domain. So no matter what, these are chainable, so they were going to go off no matter what. But most importantly, I am banishing the token, which is too big for me to get over right now. So attack. Play, he Called Bys my Idols because I targeted it. He only takes 1,000, and then I swing for 58. This is good damage, but because he's not dead, it's like he's playing Madolche. Because he's not dead, he can still get me. And I do set the Imperm in the same column as this, just in case it's something that I would be able to negate, to basically negate the Angeli in the back row, but it's a Cyclone, and he gets rid of Domain, which means he can still play. Someone press play. Now, he does normal Angeli, and this is where I'm like, I'm going to use Ash Blossom and still hold the Imperm, and he surrenders. So I got that one. Barely, you guys. Like, it was still pretty tough. Even opening 4 hand traps, I will say that Madolches are really, really strong deck. Notably, I would say this deck could easily be tier 1 if just enough people played it, because it's just so crazy and annoying and nerve-wracking. My opening hand, as you guys can see, is not very strong. He immediately Ash Blossoms my Tenacity, and as you guys can see, I really don't have any follow-ups for my turn. I only have a Nibiru, but I will say that this is not a dumb player, or I don't want to say dumb at all. I want to say that this is an above average player who's smarter than basically what I honestly, you know, like I didn't expect him to play around Nibiru and play the way he did, because he played his cards so smart. He went for damage first before he committed to anything reckless, which is one of the smartest things you can do in game 3. He also was very, very cautious playing into Nibiru territory, and he made sure to get the most out of his cards before he lost them, which is something that I really am fond of doing, especially when I play Shaddolls. So I set Erupt at the offset chance that, you know, I could potentially flip it on my next turn. He normals Hoot Cake, and he has Ash Engrave, which he just set up a 2-card combo for himself. And here we go. The Madolche plays. Pudding says, like, it's just, and this is what he does that's so smart, you guys. He doesn't go to his 5th summon yet. He decides to go straight into battle phase and get all the damage he can get before he plays into his 5th summon. Now, you guys should learn something from me and this guy from this video. Now he goes main phase 2. I'm very careful to not use Nibiru preemptively, because Glass Souffle could just chain and make itself unaffected by Nibiru. So I'm trying to wait to see if he's going to activate Glass Souffle to make it unaffected, then chain Nibiru. Once I realized that he just was too smart for me to even try to get him with that, I used Nibiru just so that I can actually get enough bodies on field to tribute summon for Caius next turn. So I get rid of the fresh Sistart, but the Glass Souffle stays because of her quick effect. He uses the Grave effect to get rid of my Tenacity. I do Nibiru him for 1 card just to get a body, so I can actually, because you know, this is level 8, I can't just tribute 1 Idols for it unless I top deck Domain, which I'm not going to do. I'm top decking into Erebus. And then something else, I really mistook the defense and the attack with this token, and I started thinking that the token had 15 defense, but it actually had 0 defense. So I was really tripping. Because I thought that, I was like, dang, why did I put this in attack? It has 0 attack. But I'm really tripping on this instance because I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Link monster. So press and play. And as you guys can see, okay, my love, he has Imperm. So this Imperm just means game. This is where the tide of the game is just completely in his favor. Reason being, because he's playing Madolche's, probably one of the most aggressive decks I have ever played against. This deck is scary fast-paced. It's ridiculous. That Imperm, if it could have been anything else, shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know, the only thing I was going to be able to do was basically tribute summon for Erebus, dump my Pantheism, and get a Domain and hope that he doesn't have that out. So yes, if he didn't have the Imperm, I was going to be able to Domain and Erupt lock him. with Erebus attacking over this, and I would obviously shuffle one of the cards from his hand. So that would have put me in a winning position. As you can see, you know, who knows what his top deck was going to be, but this Imperm sealed the deal. So this one card just made it to where I don't have a chance now. My only chance was to go Erebus, dumping Pantheism to get reveal 3 of my tenacities to basically, or 3 of my domains to get domain and erupt online. So now I'm cutting off monster effects and the domain. So if he does open the Cyclone, he has to banish one of these, but no matter what, he still can't play because he's no monster effects or no extra deck. He has to pick. But he won this one. He did. The Imperm did it. I lost. I passed. After I attacked that suplex, I'm like, look, I ain't going down, like no chump. But he still had it. So he has okay. At this point, you don't even have to let it play out because, again, you guys, I keep saying this is Madolche's. Something else that he does, which is still very, very smart. How many times did he summon? 1, 2, 3, 4 times. He didn't even play into Nibiru territory when he was going for game. He was also very careful to not even activate Tiramisu's effect, just in case I had something for it. Everything he did was calculated and smart. So I'm going to press play. He goes straight to battle phase, knowing that he has damage right here for game, and he does it. So this dude was very smart. I'm glad I got to play against him. He put my Monarchs to a good test. Next up, I have Monarchs versus this Gladiator Beast World Chalice combo deck. And this dude was actually a subscriber, so I knew him. So I go first. I have my opening hand, as you guys can see, is Desires. Oh dang, well, it changed now, but Desires was basically the gas that I needed, and his hand, he basically doesn't have full combo right now for Gladiator Beast. But I will say for his World Chalices, because he has a normal monster and he can get an extra normal off of the, I'm trying to remember the Link 1 World Chalice, he does have a potential World Chalice play. So I'm going to press play. I go Idea, he doesn't have a hand trap, so I get Eidos. My next thing to do is to tribute summon for Erebus. My idea is to basically that's funny because I opened with Idea, is to dump Pantheism, as you can see, still wasn't banished, and basically get Domain. I already have Erupt, so Domain Erupt, I'm like, this is nice, game 1, I took a card from his hand, the call by really didn't help, but one less card that he has, so I go straight into Domain. I have Erupt and Scarlet Sanguine, as you guys can see, a new addition to my deck. This is not just Monarchs. I'm implementing Magician's Souls and Eldritch cards, and I'm still rocking the Danger Dogman, and quite a bit of draw power to keep my consistency up, because Monarchs can be just a brick planet at some times. So I'm gonna press play. I in-phase Sanguine because he sets the fairy and passes. I summon Golden Lord and attack. I'm ready to get aggressive. I special summon Idea from Grave using Eidos. Use Sanguine for Conquistador. I use Domain to reveal Aether, and then I go for my Aether play, chain blocking, getting my Pantheism back, and then I hit my Karans. I'm like, let's gas up on some more fuel, get my hand back to 5 cards. I have control of the game, and just in case anything happens to this board, I can replace it with the cards I have in hand. So as you guys can see, I'm just gassing up. Like, I have what I need. I have White Destiny, I have Prime, I have Black Awakening, and I have Erupt. I still have him under the domain lock. This is just too much resources for him. So I did plus super fast after turn 1. That's one thing with Monarchs and Eldritch. Once their engine gets started, you start to just play from your grave, and it doesn't really matter what your top deck, and you turn one card into multiples. So that was game 1. Going into game 2, he does get to go first. So we're going to see how this plays out, because if I swap around to myself, basically, I don't know why he had Lightning Storm in his main deck and still went first, but I guess, I don't know, that was just him. This is his deck. And I will say, this was a really nice dude. Like, we talked, he's actually one of my subs, so I was like, that's cool. Like, I really didn't know that. And he actually watches my channel. So we were chatting too while I was dueling. Now, what he didn't know is that I had 2 hand traps in my hand. I did side into Imperm Ash, and fortunately for me, I have full setup for my board. Basically, I have Idea, I have Aether, I have Tenacity, and I have Domain. The odds of me getting my engine going are pretty high for me right now. So the 2 hand traps are here to simplify the game state and shut his turn down so that I can get going with my plays on my turn. So pressing play, I was very cautious to not use my Ash too early. I'm like that too with my Ash Blossoms. I don't like to just use them on the first card I see. I like to wait to see what kind of deck I'm playing against, wait to see if there's some kind of impactful interaction. But obviously there's times when people use Extravagance and Desires. Well, I use Ash just to keep them from building more resources than me. But in instances like this, you want to hold your ash, because you can see, even though these cards are ashable, he's building towards a play that I know can be ashed because I play Glad Beast and I know how this deck works. So the other thing that I had in my mind was, I'm not even going to Ash Blossom his Test Panther, I'm just going to Infinite Impermanence it, which turns off both of its effects and saves me an Ash, which is what I end up doing. He goes Andal, he goes World Chalice Guard Dragon into the World Chalice, and then he gets to normal summon his Andal, so he gets a chain block with his Test Panther, which is crazy. So he puts it as Chainlink 1, which shows me its priority to him, and Chainlink 2 Chainlink 1 World Chalice, I think. No, yeah. Let me see. Let me check. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, that's what he does. My bad. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. I'm sorry about that, you guys. He goes Chainlink 1 World Chalice, Chainlink 2 Test Panther, which shows me what his priority is. Now, I really wish he would have done Chainlink 1 Test Panther, Chainlink 2 Chalice, because then I could have just basically chained Imperm to the Chainlink, you know, because this being Chainlink 1 doesn't matter with Imperm. I could chain Ash Blossom to Chainlink 3, and then Chainlink 4 Imperm on this, and now I have him where he's a sitting duck with 2 cards in his hand, and I have a really good setup. But he played his cards in a different order, which did not allow that interaction to be possible. So I Imperm the Test Panther because I know how strong that card is. He has so much going for himself just off resolving that World Chalice. I mean, dude, like, he's still going. He's still playing through the Imperm. He goes for Succession for a Chalice. He goes Guard Dragon back into Andal. That's a really cool interaction with this deck that I didn't even pay attention to. Guard Dragon just gives you follow-up Andals, which is crazy. So, ooh, excuse me, you guys. This deck is actually pretty cool. He does have a set Cyclone, and he has Appaloosa. So, this is actually not good for me, because Appaloosa can hurt this deck if all I have is really Idea to start my plays, and then Cyclone just kills Domain and cards like Erupt and things of that nature. But look at me, I'm nice. I top deck into a Dogman, and Dogman just so happens to be 2400 as well as this Appaloosa. One thing that I am very cautious of doing is making sure that my hand size is as big as I can get it before I resolve this Dogman, because I know this is the only way that I can deal with this Appaloosa just in case I do get a strong enough play to get out Aether. So what I do here is I go Pantheism, Tenacity for Pantheism, discard my Domain because I can still get it off Pantheism, and I drew another one anyways. Banish Domain to search. Now my hand size is 1 card bigger, which makes all the difference. I go into Dogman, but Dogman still didn't like me. He took my Aether away from me, which is very unfortunate, because now, even though I'm really nice and I drew into the Idea, you know, God is nice, honestly, he helped me with that. I drew into Idea, so I'm like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. I'm like, dude, with Aether and Idea in my hand and me being able to attack over this Appaloosa, I have like a complete setup, and I'm gonna get back my Pantheism, but it doesn't play out that way. Dogman didn't like me, so I just passed it into the Apple. I resolved my Idea because I know I can get Pantheism back off of it, so I'm basically in somewhat of a grind game. I do have my good engine cards ready to go. I have an RNG card here. One thing I will say, he kind of just sets his lead and passes. I noticed this Guard Dragon, right? So I realized the play he could have made, but I think that he just rushed and didn't really notice it. Even though he's my opponent, I did tell him, I was like, bro, why didn't you just Guard Dragon, you know, into Andal and link the Andal and this into another Test Panther? And he was like, oh, whoops. So I think he just forgot. I top deck into a Desires, and I haven't resolved it yet, so I'm definitely going to use this first Desires. And Desires gets me into another Desires, which I set as a bluff, and I set it in the same column as Cyclone for just the illusion that it's Infinite Impermanence. I think that scares him, and he Cyclones it immediately, and that's just a -1 for him, because that Desires was not going to get used. I was not about to use that second Desires. You know, I got what I needed, and I'm definitely not about to banish any more cards from my deck. As you can see, he's getting ready to go into some other Gladiator Beast plays, and this is where that Ash Blossom that I didn't get to use on him in his first turn came through with the clutch. I see that he decides to pass, basically with Arcturix in his hand. I think I know why he did this, because even though he can normal Arcturix shuffle it with Test Panther, if you really think of it, what could he special from his deck that was going to make that much of a difference? If he specials Equest, he can add an Andal from graveyard to hand. If he specials Darius, he can special summon Darius from the grave, but he doesn't have the proper names for the fusions he needs, and he can't go into Tamer Editor. So it's like, I kind of get why, you know, he did that, because I was wondering too. I was like, this is in your hand, why, you know, but I just left it alone. I allure into an Eidos. I draw a Nibiru now, so I'm like, you know, This is nice, even though I haven't got into a Monarch that can retribute summon because Dogman destroyed my Aether. I'm still like, dude, I have Nibiru now just in case he starts to combo off because this is a combo deck. And I have like all the good domain, all the good Monarch spells and traps. So the moment that this idea hits the grave, that Pantheism's about to get me some really nice RNG chance. So I go straight for that Pantheism, crashing into Test Panther. Whoopee, look at me, he's at 800, so that was just like a clean neck for him and a +1 for me, because I get Pantheism now, and I'm like, look who's nice, let's go. And guess what I draw into? 2 Monarchs. So now, it's looking really good for me. And because I haven't normal summoned yet, this is where it gets crazy. Because now I'm like, I'm about to drop Return, I'm about to go Tenacity, I'm getting everything I need, I'm getting Stormforth, because I'm about to get my Aether, baby. So then I go Domain, reveal Thessalos, tribute over the idols for Thessalos. I take away his Artorix because I know that Glad Beasts are really good. So I take away his Artorix, I burn them, I go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and then I search out Aether, and guess what? I can still summon this because I committed my normal summon to Thessalos, but I do have Eidos engraved for Idea. So you guys are going to see how it plays out. So Eidos, Idea, Idea's effect, summon Eidos, extra tribute summon, let's go Aether. And now I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you guys. So at this point, I'm in a very strong position and I'm just winning. I have Aether plus Stormforth. I do have Monarch, the Prime Monarch, to prioritize resource management, and I also have Idea and Eidos basically for graveyard recursion and looping that Pantheism, and I have Return up, so it's very unlikely that I'm about to lose any resources anytime soon. He has a Lightning Storm that he's never going to be able to use until I clear that Tinky, which I'm not going to do, so he's in a bad situation because he can't use his extra deck, and he's living on a prayer for a top deck that's not going to help because I have Nibiru, I have Aether in hand, I have Domain Lock, I have everything. So this game was definitely mine, but it was still a good game. He goes Lee, I chain Prime just to recycle and draw because I'm running very low on Monarch spells and traps. And then I go Aether, Stormforth, tribute his face down, and I'm doing some shenanigans now. You guys see all my chain links? I did do something which was like not that bad because I was like, you know what, Idea matters more. So I put Chainlink 3, Return, Chainlink 1, Idea, obviously, Aether and Idea are like obviously what I really need because I kind of already have a Monarch in hand, which can trigger Return next turn. So I put this as Chainlink 3, he ashes it, it doesn't change a single thing, I already have Lethal on board. I go for Kuraz, killing himself and my idols, killing myself at a 6-card hand, now 7 because I'm top decking. He's looking really nice. I use Prime to draw, now I have an 8-card hand, so it's very safe for me to resolve Dogman. And it doesn't miss, and he doesn't fact discard a dead card, so this is one time Dogman was helpful. I just put Lethal on board and just go straight for game. I don't do anything else extra flashy, but you know, when you're going for game, just make sure you can still play. I have Nibiru, Souls, you know, this is one of those games where Monarchs really got to shine. Now I'm gonna go, oh, this is another one, Monarch versus Ninja. This one, wasn't so great, because it's just like, Ninja's a weird deck, I don't really know how it works, so you guys are gonna still see this. Let me go ahead, let me just exit and restart. Versus Ninjas. Alright, so, pause. His opening hand, I can say I don't know really anything about this deck, so I don't know if this hand's that good, but I know at least what these cards do because I read them. That's just about it. I know how their Link 2 works in the field spell. They do have some recursion, and they kind of have a lock you can do off of Misfellay, Apex, Avion. I remember that because my best friend Cool Cuz plays this deck, and he used to do that to me, and he did some more and stuff like that. That's kind of all I really know. I'm not a Ninja expert, so I don't really know how to narrate his hand or commentate his hand, but I know my hand is gas. I don't have a Monarch, but I will say normal summon Idea and then get an additional tribute to tribute summon for Dogman to resolve, return to search for Aether with Stormforth. This is already a crazy setup. Desires is just extra cherries on top. So you'll see how my hand plays out. Excuse me, my bad. I Desires. It draws me into Tenacity and Erebus, which both make this hand equally more insane, because now it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, you guys. I Tenacity for Pantheism. I go Pantheism, getting rid of Stormforth. Anytime you would discard something on Pantheism, there's a really decent probability of you being able to search that same card off Pantheism anyways, especially if you didn't resolve Tenacity that same turn. So I go Pantheism. As you see, now I draw into the Golden Lord, which you guys finally get to see in action, and I draw Aether, so now the insane hand is just nuts. Then I go Pantheism for Domain. I know my Idea. That's a choke point of the deck, I will say, is idea. So if you want to play around that, if you're really, really scared of Imperm, because I have Domain, you could easily just go reveal Dogman, special him, activate Domain, and reveal your Monarch, tribute summon, hit it, and even though your opponent has the Imperm, you still keep the Domain lock, which is something I should have done, but I got overly confident in my hand and just decided to keep going, because he didn't interrupt none of my other plays either, so I'm just like, I'm going in. So I go for Idea, Eidos, which gives me setups. That's something I love about Idea, being essentially a one-card combo with any other Monarch. It gives you resources in your grave for follow-ups for next turn that essentially turn into pluses and pluses. Once you have Pantheism in the Banish Zone, you start looping it off Idea until you run out of ideas. Isn't that something? And Eidos. Press play. So I go return. Then I only tribute summon Idea. I only tribute her, so I reveal the Aether off of Domain so I can keep this on field, because I'm gonna go Aether for Aether. As you guys know, I already said that in this video. Aether for Aether, so clutch. And I obviously, with return, get to chain block a little bit. So you know what I'm gonna do. I'm getting my Pantheism back. I'm going return to search. Then I'm going Aether for Aether. The pluses that I'm getting off this hand are insane. So this is how much I plussed in my Monarch deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I plus 5 because I have 6 cards in hand, 4 on field. So I got 5 free cards. I have a Domain lock. My engine's up. I have Aether. I wasn't really, I was negligent about Stormforth because I prioritized Domain. It's more important. But Stormforth is just icing on the cake with Aether, because then you're really disrupting plays with Aether, Stormforth, and Kuraz and Delve, Banish, Pop. You know, it's really nice. But I'm confident. I've got Aether in hand. You know, I've got Golden Lord for spot removal. I could just use this, pitch these 2 for next turn. So, and I got Dogman for aggressive ultimates and Prime Monarch in my grave. So I just have everything. And I do go for Aether on his turn. Reason being is because once I see this and I read these 2, I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do to you, buddy. I'm going to basically summon Kuraz. I'm going to let you draw 1 card by turning off this alchemy, because this is going to let him draw 2. So what I do is I decide to go for this play. I go Aether for Kuraz to target this ninjutsu notebook and one of my cards. We both go Upstart Goblin, and I pop this, so effectively he's not able to use this alchemy to draw 2 unless he has a second copy of this. So you'll see how it plays out. So I use Aether on his turn, I summon Kuraz, I do target the notebook, and his does, he does get to draw. Even though I upstarted him, it was better for him to draw 1 than him to draw 2. I just don't like that he gets to draw 2, so I didn't want to let him do that. Press play. He tribute summons for Shogun off of the Ninja Jokin. This can be tributed off of 1 ninja. Then, another thing that I know about ninjas is their back rolls require, for the most part, for you to have ninjas on field. So when I use Golden Lord, I immediately target his ninja to either basically force him to trigger his back rolls now or turn them off if they're ninjutsus. So he changed this, and it's like a reborn. He gets my Golden Lord, which is really smart because now I can't use it to recur itself from grave. He nightmares my idea, which gave me a +1. Now I get to get tenacity back. I go Pantheism. So him nightmaring the idea just gave me a bigger hand, and I already have a field that's really, really insane. So not really, really insane, but just really, really above average. Dogman, RNG into some good stuff. I Stormforth because I want my Golden Lord back in my graveyard. Boom. Then I go Caius, tributing a Dark, so I get to banish 2. And then he surrendered. Notably, I already had game because I also could have just went Golden Lord, basically set this, send it, special him, and that's lethal on board. I'm also not playing into like Nibiru or anything, but he didn't have a hand, so that's versus ninjas. I didn't really get, I did get 1 under game, but it was weird. I didn't want to show it recorded. I did get it, but it was just so slow and not very entertaining for you guys. Monarch versus Pin. This was just so one-sided, you guys. Like, this guy just did way too much on his turn. He's doing Pendulum stuff. He's just doing way too much. And I'm sitting here looking at my hand. I'm like, the only chance I have is if I top deck a spell and discard Golden Lord, and it happens to be a golden land, then I can bait and negate, banish the golden land to set, banish the Elixir, after being the Elixir, banish the Elixir to set a golden land, and use Golden Lord from grave to bait 2 negates. Once I baited 2 negates, I can normal summon Eidos and basically tribute summon a Monarch. That's the only play that I have, and it's banking on a top deck that I don't have. I'm top decking with the idea. So you guys can already see how this is going to play out. 1 negate kills my hand. I will say the implementation of Eldritch inside the Monarch strategy really gives you spot removal that's super duper important, because this deck can just just be crippled by any kinds of interruptions in your hands or just dookie. And this hand is not dookie going first, but going second to any interruption it loses to. So this Golden Lord is very, very strong, but I lack basically the required parts to make him effective. I top deck into Idea. I'm like this. Look, this is exactly what I do. I'm like, look, normally a smart player, which is what you should do if I'm playing in a tournament where money's on the line or I really, really want to win desperately, I'm not even going to give my opponent information. I'm just going to scoop and go straight to game 2 because I know I can't break the board. But here, I'm like, look, you know, I'm just going to normal Idea and see what he does. He negates it, and I'm like, darn. And that's it. He already has lethal on board. So that just, that was very one-sided. Now I have one against Trap Tricks. This is another one where I got smacked. Ooh, but first, let me show you guys this really, really cool one. This one was so fun. The reason why this one was insane, because this is when I put my Monarch deck together on this online simulator, and I forgot to put the Eidoses in my deck. So I was using Ideas for Mithras, so every time I normal summon Idea, I didn't get an extra normal summon for turn. So I had to play my deck with a huge handicap, and I still got to go super far against this dude that's playing Invoked, Infernoid, Eldritch. You guys are going to see this game. I actually like this game a lot because it showed just how strong my deck is even without Eidos when I open a good hand. Monarchs can be bricky, but when they open really good hands, the deck's really fire. So I'm going to press play. I go Tenacity. Obviously, you're going to reveal a card that you're going to show your opponent the same turn. You don't want to reveal a different name and then show your opponent another name because then you're giving off too many cards in their hand. I'm just RNGing you guys. I'm drawing a lot. So if I just pause real quick, you guys see all the draw spells I resolve? I resolve Desires, Allure, Trade-In, and Pantheism, and I banish the Surge. So I have 3, 6, 7 cards in my hand. I'm running on a +2. I have Idea, plus Aether. I have Golden Lord. I have Prime Monarch. And in my banish zone, I lost 1 Delve. Some Elixir cards that don't really matter because the Eldritch is just icing on the cake. It's just there for backup. But I do still have a Delg in my deck, so I can disrupt Graves. So press and play. I go Idea. He doesn't have a hand trap. I go to Mithra. Remember how I said, this is the most funny thing about this. I still want to show you guys this because even though I couldn't go any further because I forgot to put Eidos in my deck in this duel, which is so hilarious that my hand was so insane I got to +++ just to do what? Normal summon, special set, pass. That's so underwhelming, but it's hilarious that I was able to get so far in this duel playing my deck with that kind of basically crutch. So he goes the Golden Land or whatever this card is, Chris Ellen. He goes Golden Lord to target my Prime. I chain it, recycle some stuff and draw. I draw into an Aether. Something even though I couldn't summon it on my turn, I absolutely can summon it on his turn. So leaving these 2 bodies on field isn't that much of a problem, especially because this gives me an extra tribute. And as you guys can see, Aether's not once per turn, so I can actually summon both these Aethers on his turn right now. So it's actually pretty tight how my setup ended up being. So I was just really cutting up with Monarchs in this duel. So I'm gonna press play. He normals Decatron. So once he normals Decatron, I know what I have to do. I have to summon Aether. I don't have to, but I know what I want to do. Summon Aether to basically special summon Delg. My idea in my head was to summon Delg so I can immediately try to banish whatever he's sending off of Decatron, plus this Golden Land that he sent. So he's working with only his hand. But you guys are going to see how it plays out. I go Aether. He dumps Deviati. Now I'm activating Aether's effect as Chainlink 1. Keep in mind also, the play I'm making is safe because I have Idea on field. So even though he gets to dump Decatron, dump Deviati off Decatron, giving him a monster negate, I chain block so that my Aether resolves no matter what, and he just negates my Idea, which is fine. I lose access to Pantheism for that instance. And he banishes it, so I lose, what woulda, shoulda, coulda been Graveyard Recursion with an Eidos that I don't have, so it doesn't matter. I summon Delve, and I do indeed do the play I was trying to make. I banish. I make him mill 2 invocations, which is actually really nice for me because now he only has 1 more left. So then I go again for Kuros just to get my hand beefy because I'm trying to maintain my hand advantage, trying to maintain my resources because I'm just like really confident. Even though I don't have Eidos, I know I'm cutting up. So then he goes Golden Lord attacking my Aether. He uses Banishment. So when he uses Banishment, this is another thing that I will say. This deck is so insane right now that look at what's in my grave, Erebus. So if I basically wanted to be greedy, I could have went Aether 3 times this turn. I could have been Aether, and then once the second Aether resolved, the first one being engraved, I could have then basically used Erebus, which you guys see I do now. I could have used it to basically add Aether back from grave to hand, which is the first Aether I summoned, then tribute summon that Aether again, tributing the second copy of Aether, resolving Aether 3 times in the same turn. That's how insane this deck is right now. It's cutting up. So I just do this as a follow-up play. I go I do him chaining to the Void Banishment so that he doesn't have negates up yet for my Erebus because I need to get my Aether. Then when he activates Void Feast, I chain Stormforth right now before he gets the negates up so that he can't negate Stormforth. So now I'm confident that I can basically just tribute summon over the Decatron that's a threat and attack over the next one, but he doesn't make one of them a negate. Instead, he turns one of them into Cytimus. Then I use Golden Lord on Golden Lord. Dogman fails me, as he typically does at times. I normal summon Idea, and I'm very cautious, you know, but at the same time, I can't even activate his effect. What am I going to summon off of it? So what he ends up doing is, he clears his own field, which is kind of smart, you know, but I think he was doing too much. I declare an attack with with Idea. He keeps tributing his Decatrons to make me redirect my attack, which actually allowed me to benefit, because now I got a chance to get rid of the Decatrons and crash my Idea into the Jet. And since this adds from Banish Zone, he can't chain his DD Crows on that. So he does that. I crash my Idea into the Jet. Then I use it to get my Prime back because I'm in a grind game now. So I set Prime, knock and recycle, and get some draws. And I'm staying in the game, living on a prayer. He DD Crows one of my targets, not realizing it's still resolved. And if you guys check my grave, you know, I'm kind of nice. My grave is kind of nice, you know. But I'm living on a prayer right here. He summons Sejet, and also, he summons Cytimus and Anunku. He doesn't use the Banish effect at the end of battle phase. He should have done that, because this was just giving me upstart goblins like, yo, you know, I'm just getting some resources here. Dogman fails me again, as he typically does. I set return and pass. This is where I surrender because I just don't have any more plays in me. But as you guys can see, that was still really cool that my deck is able to do that without the Idoses. With Idoses in, it makes a huge difference, because every time you guys saw Idea, she didn't have the value that she really deserved to have. I go goods, so let me go ahead and just exit out of this and restart. So this is game 2. As you guys can clearly see, I lost completely, but I had so much fun and I enjoyed this duel. So I'm going to pause. My opening hand is Souls, Goods, Ash Blossom, Return, and Desires. I have 3 different ways to RNG into what I need. So this hand isn't optimal in the terms of starting with your combo pieces, but there's a probability I can hit them. But also I could still just draw into more copies of these. That's one thing that, you know, you have to pay attention to when you're playing all these RNG draw cards, is you're still not guaranteed to get anything. His hand's pretty nice. He has Reasoning, Feast, Double Decatron, and this Elixir White Destiny, which isn't live yet, but watch this. I'm obviously gonna goods first for the White Elixir. I do that because I'm trying to get the most out of Souls. I should have, instead of being greedy, been very safe and just goods, dumping the Pantheism so that I don't risk banishing it off of Desires. So now we'll see the Banish Zone. I lost Karaz again. Karaz just, so sad. And one of my primes, as long as I didn't lose 3 of anything, I'm good. So the way I see this is I didn't lose anything. I dump Delk to summon my Magician Souls. I activate Destiny to get Golden Lord on field. I banish this Elixir, White Destiny, my bad. I activated Black, I banished White. And then, as you guys can see, I got the RNG finally into what I needed, but I'm locked into only zombies, because that was the only way I could get 2 monsters on field. So I have to summon Erebus off this Aether, and basically Tenacity into my Domain Lock, which doesn't hurt his deck, because he doesn't really need his extra deck. In face, I'm getting more resources. Erebus goes to my hand. This is how much I plussed on this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I just went +3. It wasn't that much. But I do have a setup now. And I have Sanguine, which is really nice. He goes Decatron dumping the Harm. I really don't want to pronounce his name. But the Harmony. And basically, it pops my Aether, getting out of the Domain Lock, which leads me to think maybe he has Alistair in his hand, because he's probably going to use extra deck. I Ash Blossom his Reasoning. And guess what he top decked? He's nice. He top decked the Monster Gate, so it's looking ugly now. Monster Gate and decks like Infernoid is just like, bro, who knows what's gonna happen? It's just random craziness. And he hits a Magician Soul, so now he's really plussing. So I'm immediately like, I'm activating Sanguine before he summons a Nunku and completely denies that chance. I summon the Golden Lord from my deck, so now both the Golden Lords are out, and I'm basically have to play from my graveyard now, like he's doing. I'm not really in a good position, but I'm hanging in there, you guys. I top deck Prime. I then use Golden Lord to Sim Domain, realizing it's not going to help me. I summon a 3800 Erebus, and I sit on the Erebus, keeping this in hand in case I need it for spot removal. It's not wise to use the Golden Lord on any of these, because it's just a waste of resources. Prime's keeping me in there. I'm definitely probably not going to use that Desire. He summons a Nunku again, and he tries to destroy my indestructible Erebus. I think he forgot that Golden Lord summoned this, so he just destroyed his own monsters. Then he goes into Invoke place, summons Makaba. Now he has potentially 3 interruptions on his field. Actually 4. He has an interruption off Anunku, off Mekaba, Kisura, Wakeru. It's just looking ugly. So you guys can see, I went for target Mekaba. He let it go through. I think he's called up. I'm cutting up now because what I did was I basically tribute summoned for Kai. I'm like, you know, what's gonna happen? Are you gonna do? Because the negate's gone, so I can surely finish. And here's how it plays out. He destroys it. I get to bench both his Golden Lord and his Anunku as I planned though, and I'm still not in a winning position. I'm just basically hanging in there. I'm surprised that he didn't use it before. But I think maybe he just wanted to get these engraved so he could banish them later. He summons Mekaba again, and we're grinding together. But I'm saying, dude, my Monarchs are hanging in there, you guys. But he's got the upper hand on me. Again, no Eidos in my deck, so even if this were a probable play, it's just not there. And now, I will mind you that there's no Golden Lord in my grave. If Golden Lord was in my grave, I could have baited the Mekaba, but I don't have the Golden Lord engraved, so it's just like I had to do what I had to do. I did the best that I could. He Mekabus on my idea. I tried to then, as you guys can see, the replay ended, so I scooped, but I did try to make another play, then I realized the game was over. So, oh snap. Okay, so I'm gonna have to end this, you guys. You guys can definitely see more. Like, there's one against Sacred Beast, and there's another against Trap Tricks. I'm telling you guys right now, I lost against Trap Tricks. That was another sub I played. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys learned about Monarchs. And you guys see this deck's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not saying my build's the best, but it definitely solves problems that most Monarch players are gonna run into. So I'm gonna say a quick prayer and I'm out. Father God, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth, just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power, forever. In the mighty name of Jesus I pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. Alright, yo, deuces is wild, you guys.